Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Your Cow Daily. Firstly, apologies. It's a little bit earlier. This time, like an hour earlier from my usual 12 o'clock noon slot. But I obviously people now had a crash, which was a bit more serious than I've kind of let on anybody really. And I am dealing with concussion, and I need to do this earlier today because I'm feeling like the longer I leave it, the more fatigued I get, and it's important not to get fatigued while I'm recovering from the latest fucking. Seriously though, how many things do I need? What I'm doing with these shows this week is I'm teaching myself like how to process mentally again whilst getting some shows done, because I've missed doing it. And I'll be honest with you, it's completely. My partner's been away for a while now with me three-legged dog who's just had his operation, and for the first couple of days it was like, this is a relief. I just miss them now. It's just me and the big dogs there at the minute, and it just kind of compounds everything. And during this like sort of month that I like since the crash as well, it's like because we don't live near our family, I've just been having to like kind of get on with it a lot because my partner's been having to shoulder the problems with the dog. So yeah, I'm just doing some self-care today by doing this a bit earlier. I woke up this morning and I just felt absolutely rotten, bit of a headache, just feeling generally rinsed. Fucking sick of this, like, properly. But today, though, we're going to talk about concerned trolls. And we're going to talk about the latest revelations with Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn. It's just interesting for me to see how people respond and react to Corbyn in 2023 when there's all of this information like out in the world about what's happened to him. But we'll come on to that in a bit. Let's see who's about in the comments, shall we? Who's around? Zoe's in. Nice to see you, mate. Zip bass or bass? Which is it? Zip bass, zip bass. Which is it? Let us know. Slides is in. Good morning. How's you, bud? Sound, I'm all right, mate. I'm just, as I say, just recovering from the concussion and the other injuries. You seen this one? Like this here? You might not show it up, yeah, but like I've got like still got scars all up my arms off the crash. It's like it's not healing. Shite. Who's this? Elizabeth is in. Hiya, mate. Right back at you. Mark Bundy, a name I have not seen in the live chat. Nice to see you, Mark. Are you related to Ted, the serial killer? I bet you've never heard that one before, particularly if you've been in and around a schoolyard. Welcome, Mark. Great to see you. Zip. Base as in sub base. That makes sense. I thought it might be because there's loads of like free party ne'er-do-wells who hang around our social media, and rightly so, the best people. Do you have a sound system? Do you promote the rave? Let us know. Roy's in. Morning, Milk. Hello, pal. Also, thanks for fighting the good fight by spreading truth and evidence across the internet. I see you. I appreciate it too, pal. It gets a bit much at times. What else do we need? Also, I noticed a few of you are watching on Facebook. If you could watch on, where's the right one? It's here. YouTube.com/Cow Daily. Link in description of this podcast. We're trying to get the channel monetized. We're almost there. Then I got injured, and I've subsequently found out when the year changes, if you don't put any videos out, your watch hours go backwards. So we're far back from where we were. But like anything, we'll keep turning up every day and we'll keep doing it, and we'll get this bugger monetized, and we'll keep cracking on and building our institutions, because I'm not backing down, and I know yous aren't either, because I see yous here every day. But if you could get more people involved, please do share the stream on your networks, youtube.com/Cow Daily. Very much appreciated. And also, if you would like to support our work directly, go to patreon.com/Cow Daily. That's patreon.com/Cow Daily for as little as £1 a week. That's good. If you've ever wanted us to buy us a pint or anything like that, go to the link in the description for PayPal, and basically it won't be getting spent on that. It'll be getting spent on like running this. And maybe some food if we get to that level, that would be good. So patreon.com/cow daily. Honestly, I was just so into this, and I'm really pleased to be back, even if it's just like, just trying to get like things off and healing my head. I was told by people that the shows that we've done were still good. I mean, the shows that I tried to do when I just had the crash, right? I'm scared to look at them because I don't know what the hell I was saying, which is mad. It's one of the symptoms of the concussion is I'll just read this. Symptoms can last for days, weeks, or even longer. Common symptoms after a concussive traumatic brain injury or headache, loss of memory. Yeah, that totally happened, and confusion. The amnesia usually involves forgetting the event that caused the concussion. All I can remember is beep, 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 beep. Seriously, that's all I remember. I think I might have been clipped by a car, but I can never be sure because my brain just doesn't have a memory of what happened. And I think that's true of a lot of trauma. But I think that's probably more likely than not, given all I remember is beep, 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 and then just got trebucheted into the ground. So, yeah, great. I'm still fucking alive, but I'm just kind of coping with all that at the minute. It's like, it's really fucked and weird, to be honest. But anyway, what do I have? What's going on the day? Well, what do you make of this?
Fuck Keir Starmer! 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 Fuck Keir Starmer!
Look, I appreciate it. I ran that on a loop three, maybe four times, but like at the end of the day, we haven't heard that enough, so it's all balance, isn't it? That, for context, was the crowd at the Brianna Gay vigil, which was yesterday, which is a trans person who was murdered for being trans, basically, from what I can gather, which is absolutely fucking awful. Just what the fucking actual fuck goes on in people's heads? Young kids as well, just absolutely savage, innit? Horrible. So anyway, the crowd were chanting "fuck Keir Starmer," and I've waited till after the 5-minute mark. Shouts to the YouTube guidelines before any swearing broke out. Fuck Keir Starmer, indeed, for many reasons, and many reasons that we've covered many times on this show. I'm not going to do a deep dive into. If you want to know more about it, which I share all the time, go to Should I Vote Labour? It's a folder which I will actually link at the end of this video and possibly as it pops up. We talked about it a lot. I shared quite a lot with concerned trolls. I'll talk about them later. Maybe we'll expose a few. I don't know. Stick around. And I just feel like the disingenuousness coming off Starmer is worse than Boris Johnson's. And that's saying a lot, innit? Like, the top bottom of it is, Boris Johnson's a Tory, and Tories be Torying. And the amount of flack I've got, right, for my comments late last night regarding how people have read the first paragraph or first sentence about how I want the Tories to win the next election over Labour, and then go into detail, like many reasons why. But the concerned trolls, literally somebody, right, last night who is this level of cringe. I'll not mention his name. You're one of these, where the Indiana Jones punching a Nazi. And I hadn't really even said much to him, and this is what he had to say. I bet you I've punched more Nazis than you. Pal, are you sure? So anyway, they're kind of like, they're really like fucking weird, like centrist. Like, let's actually dead that we'll retire that term now. Right wing. Call them right wing. All that shit that Starmer came out with yesterday, which I'm not even going to play speech because it's such a disingenuous pack of lies. But also, like the shade that he's casting on millions of people who got behind the same party that he was standing for in 2017 and 2019. The shade that he's cast on those good people who literally just want people not to live in poverty is absolutely disgusting. And at this point, in 2023, if you, with all this information that is out there, are still going to vote Labour, it's fucking pick a side time, by the way. It's been pick a side time. But at the end of the day, the easiest thing in the world for me, for my own self-interest, would be not be the pick a side guy. Because in terms of like good for business or however you want to put it, it's not great, is it? Because it reduces your potential marketing base and all that fucking bollocks. Well, literally, I will starve in a gutter before I back down to these people. I hope I've made that clear so far. And maybe I will, because that's a very real possibility for a lot of us, right? But this isn't just some mad game to me. I literally want everybody having their basic needs looked after and a little bit more. And a right-wing party like the Labour Party do not offer any solutions. So it used to piss me off, right? Like people would, oh, you're a Tory this, you're a Tory that, which is obviously like given my actual record in any sector I've been involved in is absolutely dumb as hell. But that's like the level of the discourse that comes from these kind of people. So, like, as I say, it used to bother the shit out of us. Like, really did. I was going through a hell of a lot at the time. I was supporting some people, some rad shit, and I had very little time for like this disingenuous fucking nonsense. The accent on fucking nonsense that way. Anyway, so, but now, does it still bother us? Of course, it still bothers us because I've grown up like doing what I do and being who I am. But the thing is, right? Don't ever let people try and strip away like who you are, because you know people will do that to you. You know, some people will do it just because like who you are makes them feel uncomfortable. I'm not even just talking about politics here, but some people will do that because they just love taking the fucking shit out of people. But they also maybe have an agenda. I mean, I know for an absolute fact we've had like AstroTurf trolls like targeting us. And there's times in the future where we'll just pull the evidence out. There's loads of stuff that we're actually just sitting on about certain people. Aye. And the thing is, if people want to get like, look, if you want to get fucking like funny, like it's not a good idea. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's really not good for you. But at the same time, we've got a lot of work to do. So what's going on with Jeremy, right? It's really sad to watch. And it's been sad to watch, man. It's like nothing I'm talking about here is news to anybody who's got a heart in that chest. Anybody who's like genuinely cares about another human being. And certainly people who care about people who've been bullied. If you're watching this now, right, and I don't mean this show, I just mean like what's happening with Jeremy, right? And at this point, if you're not even speaking out for somebody who did stand up on your behalf, what do you think that says about you as an individual, right? So that's that, right? But beyond that, if you have then joined in with the bullies, then what does that make you? It doesn't even make you like all like perceived powerful like a bully. What it makes you is Salacious Crumb tied to a bit of string next to Jabba the Hutt. What that makes you is fucking Richard Hammond next to fucking Clarkson. What that makes you is a shitbag. You're not a decent person. Because at the end of the day, look, if you believe in all of that shit, you believe in it. Pick a side. Pick a side. Let's not fanny around with this shit anymore, man. Like, this is a great personal cost again to me. Like, it's not good for the Patreon dollar, is it, to be talking like this? It just fucking isn't. But it's not about any of that. It's about food and bellies, heat and radiators. Everybody has what they need a little bit more. Fuck your ideologies. I don't care. I never have cared. Like somebody said to me last night after reading the first line of, or willfully misunderstanding something I said about, like, all we have left, right, just for clarity, Schadenfreude. I'll go on to what I think Jeremy might do in a bit. And yeah, I'll just save that for in a bit. But we have Schadenfreude, and I'm damn sure going to swim in it. And I really do think Johnson will come back and he'll squeak the election, and I will laugh my fucking back off. When people have been like, oh, you laugh your back off because you're secretly a Tory and all of this. No, I laugh me back off because you lot who do not give a shiny shite for millions of people living in poverty, who could not hold a candle to our record in that regard. Not even, you couldn't lace wear boots. And you're coming, honestly, do you realize how ridiculous you are? But at the same time, right, there's an issue, and that's Corbyn, right? And the issue with Jeremy is this: he's a bit of a melt. And I'm sick and tired, right? Like, he's seriously, right? We can only get past this and build a hope if we diagnose the problem, and we do it without fear or favor. The last thing I want to be doing is talking about Jeremy in this way, but he's a melt. Like, look at his pals, McDonnell, melt. They're all like Labour lifers. I was asked what I think would happen, right? And I'm going to say this on the balance, on the basis of the evidence that I have to hand. Some of it in the public domain, some of it anecdotal. I'm obviously not going to fucking name names and that, but I'm fucking sick and tired of us having some like mad little fucking secret squirrel, like, what's Jeremy doing fucking mother's meeting thing. I'm not interested no more. Like, the top and bottom of it is, it's pick a side time. And I get a serious sense that Jeremy has long-term Labour lifer Stockholm syndrome. Like, he used to go around David and Ed Miliband's house, right, to meet Ralph Miliband, who was one of the foremost Marxist thinkers of the 20th century in Britain, who was their dad. And he would meet with like Tony Benn and people like that, and it would just probably super fucking boring meetings about Marxism, really, which nobody's really interested in, if we're honest. And Tony Benn, like, he just believed until he died that the Labour Party was the only way. It's this weird Labourism thing that they've got. I'm unsure, like, you could put a world of evidence in front of Jeremy, and I honestly think he thinks the fight is for him to be reinstated in the Labour Party, and this cheeky young whippersnapper Starmer, like, I've been here for 40 odd years, who are you? I think that's what's going through his head. I think that he's going to melt us off, unless people who are wrapped around him, and there are some, and I'm being completely honest with you here, who are talking about a new party, or at least some kind of like figurehead of a new movement. Because as I've said many times, I mean, it's so bloody obvious. I mean, we need to generate hope. Fuck winning an election at this point. People are literally like dying in their houses. Mental health issues through the fucking roof. And we've got these idiots, because that's what they are. Starmer, Corbyn, all the rest of them, pissing about with all this internal shit. And I've been doing it too. But the thing is, I'm not a politician, and I don't ever want to be one, right? What we are, journalists, right? We might not look like what you think a journalist is, but that's exactly what we are. And if I might be so bold, we're more true to that word than 95% or more of the journalists out there. And at the end of the day, I'll fucking blow a trumpet if no fucker else will, because we've done some sterling work. Fucking Lee Anderson did that last October. Left Media and just others got on it this week, and like reporting it as if like revelations have just come out and all that. It's like, fuck off, man. You just were bollocks scared to do it. And what I see is a lot of cowardice right now, right? Like, look, I'm scared too. but I'm not a coward. And I also see a lot of people who aren't cowards as well. And the last thing I want to do is just focus on what I think is wrong. There's a hell of a lot right, which is why we need to harness it, which is why I want Jeremy Corbyn to stop pissing about keeping the left in Britain in limbo. Because if you're going to do the whole Labour Party thing and piss about like that, I'm not interested. Most of it aren't either. You've picked your side. And I'm certainly not going to treat you like some old teddy bear that we should all just cuddle. The top and bottom of it is, Jeremy is putting himself in the public eye every day, which is what he needs. Like, if that's what he needs, great. That's entirely his choice, right? But the problem that he's got is he's literally the only person with the so-called brand recognition, for want of a better term, who could carry a new electoral vehicle. Now, I'm not saying it's definitely not going to happen, but if I had to like bet on it, I'd say it's like 70-30 towards him just fighting some like internal battle with like the Labour Party and fucking rah rah rah. The top and bottom of it is, and we all know this, he should have been in the court suing everybody left and right. Facts. But he's not been. And he's put people like who backed him right out on a limb because he hasn't stood up for himself. My mom, who I always listen to, right, because she just puts things like very simply but very to the point, right? When this was during the election periods, man, she was saying the problem I've got with him, he just doesn't stand up for himself. From a working class background, right? Standing up for ourselves, right? It's just like sort of inward because like you quite often will grow around like lots of brutal shit. And if you don't stand up for yourself, you're gonna get brutalized. It's very different. A lot of us grow up on estates, come out of it just traumatized, and we don't even realize it, right? Because that's just like so-called normal. I mean, there's all kinds of shit goes on everywhere every day, and that shouldn't be normal, man. So the problem that we've got is like all of that kind of like mad bullying shit has been normalized, and it's been normalized and amplified on every television in the last 24 hours, every single one of them. And I'm worried that Corbyn's been so abused, he's acting like sometimes abused partners do in a domestic violence situation where they just try and go back. Like, I hope there's people wrapped around him. And I mean, to be honest, I fucking know there's some where they're telling him this straight. I just hope we're not about to deal with the fact that Jeremy's a massive melt, just like his socialist campaign group friends, because the state of that should point the direction, the SCG, as to what Corbyn maybe is. And I'll be honest, like, I honestly don't think, right, if Corbyn hadn't been treated this way, that he would have done anything other than tell people to stay and fight. Stay and fight is off the table. It's off the table because the ghouls who now run the Labour Party have changed the rules. We've changed the rules, so there'll never be a progressive NEC, and you'll never get a left-wing leader of the Labour Party. But the problem with this Benite sort of Labour lifer mentality, people of that era like Corbyn, is that you're stuck. And I tell you what, watch he announces a new party later on the day. This is, right? This is what I've got, right? And like I've been talking to people like for a long time who know him and I'm just sick and fucking tired of it now. We're in like February 2023. There's people like scared to put their heating on, and you've got these fuckers pissing about who could actually do something about it, and just not. And I think it's disgraceful, quite honestly, because there's nobody else who can make sense of this, who said brand recognition, which is his face, which will get all of these member sign-ups. Look at how many other small left-wing parties there are. There's people without his profile have tried. It's not going to work unless like there's something wrapped around it. So it's a case of like, look, he's perfectly entitled, right, to do whatever the fuck he wants in his life, right? But what he's not perfectly entitled to do is keep the left in Britain in limbo, which is exactly what he's doing. And it's about time we fucking spoke about it. I mean, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but I went canny light. I tell you what, like, if he does start like trying to brown his way back into Labour or like go on some big campaign, I'll excoriate the fucker. And I hope other people out there will too. Because as I've said, this has never, ever, ever been about personal gain or just fucking anything mad like that. What it's always been about is food and bellies, heating the radiator, everything we need a little bit more, and just respect for, and love for our fellow man. And I'll say it as a personal disrespect. If he sells well, personal, because it was personal why people like us stepped up and actually forgave Labour and all of that for everything that they did before to working class communities. And we did that because of Corbyn and because of the things that he was saying. And I'm feeling, and I know that people I speak to are feeling desperately let down by this fucker at this point. His legacy with the people who, support him is getting desperately tarnished here because he's a bit of a melt. And that's just a fact. So as I say, I'd give it 70-30 that he'll go down the road of just fighting some like wild cul-de-sac fight about staying in Labour when they actually fucking hate him. It's sad though, innit, man? Imagine like trying to like be wrapped around these people who you find out they just hate you and like they've been talking shit behind your back or talking shit to anybody who listen. It's funny that, innit? These people need exposing, and that'll happen when the time's right. Because there's energy back in the world now, and like as much as we think, that all hope is dead, hope is never dead. Never. It's only dead when we say it is, right? So for me, what I'm going to do to try and bring about positivity is, well, injuries dependent. I'm going to fucking turn up here every day and I'm going to try and work it out. And I hope you do too. And we'll eventually get to a point where we'll be like, right, that's the thing. But at the same time, with detractors, right? And I'll come on to this fucking concern trolling thing before we get off, right? This concern trolling thing, what it is internet slang. Someone who posts to an internet forum or news group, much like ours, claiming to share its goals while deliberately working against those goals, typically by claiming concern about group plans to engage in productive activity, urging members instead to attempt some activity that would damage the group's credibility. When you see them riddled all over with social media, you know who they are. We also know who you are. Ha ha. But we'll keep all of that for now. But what else? Well, I wanted to bring this up, right? Because people obviously don't, they're not privy to the amount of shit that I take every day and by who and the frequency of it. So, like, what's happening from now on is pick a side. Like, it's just simple as that. I'm just not fucking about with this shit anymore. I've got a family, I've got a life, and trust me, wrong person. Anyway, let's see what's in the comments. Right. Carlos is saying, I agree with you about Corbyn. However, can you manage to get in contact with the lad, get an interview with him and give him the benefit of your thoughts and others of like mind? Because where is his political duty of care, if no other reason? He's one of the very few with profile sufficient to offer an alternative, and add to this the entire union movement. I could get him on this probably quite easily. And I say probably because I don't want to be all like, oh yeah, I could definitely get him on. And then he just says, fuck off. But I mean, like, I mean, he was going to come on like 2017 and some kind of mad thank you for all the work that we did to try and get him elected. And then once again, I was in some mad injury situation and couldn't do it. What was it? I was a prelude to my spinal surgery, and I just couldn't do it. Face to face, it was in the Sage. He went on, had that big rally. And then we tried to organise it a couple of weeks later, and spinal surgery. And then obviously I was a write-off for a year afterwards, and it never came about. But yeah, we could probably get that sorted dead easy. And I will say exactly this to his face as well. He's just a man. I'll obviously do it with respect, but the time for special treatment for people just because we like them is just fucking over, man. Like, I don't know if you're understanding this, but like, or whether you're speaking to people, but I know loads of people who are scared to put that fucking heating on, man. There's people I know who, like, the kids will come round and they'll only put it on then and keep it from them about what the real situation is. Plenty of people I've spoken to like that. Like, I tell you, I've said this loads of times. If we had this so-called brand recognition, would have set the new party up, but we didn't. But we can certainly support it, and I definitely think we can be useful behind that. So, to answer your question, Carlos, I'd have him on, but like at the minute, I think it's a bad idea. I want to see how this plays out. Because the time of it is, like, I will excoriate him to his face if I feel like he's sold out. And to be honest with you, I just think it's a bad look. It would be great for views and that, but like, I couldn't give a fuck. Like, fuck views. We'll get views. It'll all happen. We'll keep working hard, and with your help, we'll do that, and we'll do it. We'll do it with purity of heart. But do I want to do that to him? No, I don't, because he has put so much in. So no, I don't want to have that kind of interview with him, even though like all that kind of shit just drives engagement and views. Like, can you imagine it being like clipped by the right wing and like it's left turn on Corbyn and it's all that shite? And look, I wouldn't do him like that, because the mad thing is, man, like in spite of all this meltitude that he displays, his heart's in the right place, and I respect him massively. And I need to understand that I can't just go around excoriating people, because there's another elected Labour politician who we've had on before, and I was going to get him on to excoriate him, actually, and I just decided to do it in his fucking comments section instead, because at the end of the day, that would be great for views as well. But nah, I actually nearly WhatsApped him today to ask him a direct question off the record. But then I just like deleted it and fucked it off, because I don't respect him. I really feel like he wasn't the thing that I thought he was. And that's based on how much he's brown-nosed a lot of these bullies. Salacious. I cannot, honestly, bullies are bad and I despise them. But salacious crumbs next to bullies, next to Jabba, I fucking hate you. You're the worst. The fucking worst. Like, aligning yourselves with what you perceive to be, you're just scumbags. Zoe, you're saying, I've still not seen anything on Jeremy Corbyn from the likes of Zara. Claudia Webb, solid as a rock. She's the only one I've seen just before we went live. Big up Claudia. And yeah, there is still some good people in Labour Party, but again, pick a side. She'll be on the other side, Claudia, as well, if she sticks around with it. SCG and LM, they just what they should have done a long time ago was form an independent bloc with Corbyn, refused to vacate the seats because they were elected on the basis of 2019, which would be fine. And to be fair, it's not really about what's fair and anything like that, is it? Because they're just doing what they want, so we've got to be brutal. But they're not, because they're melts, and they've actually like made it worse in some reasons. You imagine having friends like that, like Jeremy, man. Like, I feel so bad for him, because he's been like had so much expectation placed on him, and I'm doing it right now. And like on a human level, I feel bad, because at the end of the day, like, he's an older gentleman and he's been through so much. It would have broke me what he went through. I'll just be absolutely open and honest. And it would have broke pretty much every single person who's listening to or watching this. And we need to admit that. The man has went through so much, and he's probably acting from a trauma-based perspective. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to get him on and just give him a load of grief. Like, what's the fucking point other than views? And we're never going to be them. Never going to be that. Zip Base is saying he's sued and won and kept quiet. He did. He needs to shout about it, mate, because the top and bottom of it is there's so many people who don't know that. And like, I knew that too. I've seen it. But it needs to be fucking everywhere, because it's not just about the act of doing it. It's about blowing that trumpet, and as a signal to people like us that the fight is fully fucking on. He's too meek, man, and we like knew this, but the way that he got elected was basically the SCG's fault, because they're a bunch of fucking cowards. So they put him forward, not thinking that anybody would get elected, and then he did, because there was then, and there still is, a massive yearning for like a change of society. And the Labour Party, the right-wing Labour Party, that their only function now is to smash that into the ground. How morally reprehensible. So if you want to be Salacious Crumb supporting that, pick a fucking side. We'll take a few more. Right. Mark saying, Mark Bundy, JC could stand as a Peace and Justice Party independent, but he probably won't. I'm inclined to agree. He could do a hell of a lot of stuff. He could set up the Peace and Justice Party. I think it's a shit name, but like he could call it anything he fucking wanted, and I'd become a member. And so would a lot of other people. Imagine all those like £4 or £5 a month, like 100, 200,000 people. And that's unrestricted funds, not beholden to any outside sort of funders, like big business or anything like that. Would fucking smash it. Right, let's keep having a look. Right, Lawrence is saying, amazed Corbyn still standing, probably following the done stamp and muck. You'll just spread it approach. How much you hate the monarchy, shut up and it'll go away. Used to work very well. These people, if you're referring to the right-wing Labour Party, are not going away, mate. We've got to fight them. And we've got to fight them on some mad, like, sort of political internecine bullshit. We've got to fight them because millions of people living in poverty have no hope and no answers. And I'm personally not backing down ever. So hopefully that's the side you'll choose. Or you'll choose the side of the fucking Labour Party and the Tories, because that's that side, the right wing. There is no, like, serious left-wing vehicle in Britain at all. Like, there's smaller parties with serious people in them, but there's not a serious electoral force. Results show this. So sadly, Jeremy, pick a fucking side. Will it be the side of your ego fighting this singular battle, or will you get yourself wrapped around the people who are supporting you in the fucking first place and stop hanging around with dafties? Because that's ultimately what this is. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of the just the overwhelming. Well, it wasn't overwhelming, actually. I'm getting better at like accepting kindness. There's so many of you have been kind to us, like since the crash, or just not even since then. Just you're just kind to us, and I don't want this to just be like a focus on like cunts. Basically, I absolutely love yous, and seriously, like there's been times in my life where you've made the difference between, yeah. So just know that I love and respect you, and I'm so fucking grateful. We'll always try and end this on a positive, if we can. But the fact remains, hope only gets extinguished if we say so. Jeremy Corbyn's just a man. And if we want to build something, it's going to take an infinitely longer time without them, without Corbyn and whatever. But we'll fucking do it anyway, man. It's just going to take forever, innit? And what a nice way to end it. Lawrence Green, love you too, dude. It's all love, brother. Tell you what, like, as long as people are in like good faith, yeah, me mate, I don't really care what your politics are to a degree. But fuck right off. You've got the wrong lad. The wrong fucking lad. Just the wrong group of people, basically. Anyway, love to all. Take care of yourselves and each other. Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. As I say, lots of filler to not end the show, but play.
Fuck Keir Starmer! Fuck Keir Starmer! Fuck Keir Starmer! Fuck Keir Starmer!
Fuck Keir Starmer!
Fuck Keir Starmer!
Fuck Keir Starmer!
Fuck Keir Starmer!
Yeah, just before I go, you ever realised that for whatever reason, Southern crowds obviously speak in their like accent, the shouting, right? But it's actually like if you have protests in Newcastle, it sounds like that too. People just, I don't know. Fuck. Do you think that it's like people in the north sound like a Southern crowd because they just think "fuck Keir Starmer" whose streets are streets? Like, is the way that you're meant to say it like just a mad copycat thing? Or the fact that like "fuck Keir Starmer" in a Geordie accent just sounds different? Let us know, and we'll address it tomorrow. It's something I've just worked out. But also,
fuck Keir Starmer! Fuck Keir Starmer! Fuck Keir Starmer!
Side picked. That includes you, Jeremy, and anybody else. We've got a world to win, and I, for one, I'm not going to sit off and just let this fucking happen all around her. Better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Bye, everybody. Here's the title. See ya.